Today is Tuesday, December 17th. We have the latest details about another mass shooting at a K-12 school, what's known about the shooter and the people she killed. Also, another foreign government shakeup, and a new feature is coming to cars meant to help prevent deadly wrecks. Plus, what's behind a rare drop in obesity rates? Which company is promising 100,000 new American jobs? And why you might soon be seeing Popeye the Sailor in a whole new light. Those stories and even more news coming up. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Unfortunately, today we start with news of another school shooting, this time at a private Christian school in Madison, Wisconsin. Police say a 15-year-old girl brought a gun to school and opened fire in a classroom where kids from different grades were having study hall. When shots first rang out, police say a second grader called 911, and officers were on the scene in about 3 minutes. A student and a teacher had already been killed. Another teacher and 5 other students were hurt, some with life-threatening injuries. Police say the shooter also turned the gun on herself and later died. Investigators are still working to figure out a motive or any warning signs that may have been missed. They also are looking into how she was able to get her hands on the gun. Meanwhile, officials around the country are calling for change so more tragedies like this can be prevented. President-elect Trump was dealt a setback in court this week as he tries to get his felony convictions thrown out. This goes back to his criminal case in New York, the only one that ultimately went to trial. It's the one that came back with a guilty verdict in May. A jury convicted Trump on 34 counts, saying he falsified business records to cover up a hush money payment to a porn actress. But more recently, Trump's legal team argued the convictions should be thrown out because of the decision the Supreme Court made over the summer about presidential immunity. Remember, the court decided presidents like Trump cannot be prosecuted for official acts as president, but they can face trial for unofficial acts. And as lawyers say, this case applies, since in the trial, the jury saw evidence like Trump's presidential financial disclosure form that only exists because of his position. Well, this week, the judge in the New York case said presidential immunity still does not apply here, especially since there was a lot of other evidence as well that had nothing to do with Trump's time in the White House. The sentencing in Trump's case is still indefinitely postponed, though, while both sides figure out what to do. Prosecutors have suggested things like freezing the case until Trump leaves office or agreeing that any future sentence won't include jail time. But Trump's team says anything other than complete dismissal is off the table. Of course, the president-elect still says he did nothing wrong, and this and all other cases against him were just political. To be continued. Europe's largest economy is going to have to start preparing for early elections. You'll remember Germany's government collapsed last month. Well, then yesterday, Chancellor Olaf Scholz lost a vote of confidence, and that means a snap election is coming in February. German voters will have 7 major parties to consider, and the economy is expected to be the top issue on their minds, along with immigration and national security. As you know, this is just the latest update in a leadership crisis that's been deepening within several American allies. The government of France collapsed earlier this month. South Korea's president has been impeached. And just yesterday, Canada's finance minister resigned, raising questions about the future of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He's also facing calls to resign. It was the worst cyclone to hit the Indian Ocean islands in nearly a century. Cyclone Chido devastated large parts of the French territory of Mayotte off Southeast Africa. And now rescuers say thousands of people may have died. Even before the storm, more than 3/4 of Mayotte's people lived in relative poverty. Now images show makeshift houses smashed all over the territory with roads, hospitals, and schools torn up. But it's hard to get many updates since communications are down in large parts of the territory. People are going without electricity, internet, phone lines, water, and food. France's government says it's sending in relief supplies and equipment now. The world's largest iceberg is on the move again. The last time it was measured, it came in at over 1,400 square miles, making it slightly bigger than Rhode Island. It broke free of Antarctica back in 1986 and became stuck just off the coast for more than 30 years. Well, it finally started moving again in 2020, but for the last few months, it's been spinning in the same spot. Flash forward to this week, and the British Antarctic Survey says it's drifting north. So what does that mean for the world? Well, scientists are excited. They believe the moving iceberg will give nutrients to the waters it passes through, creating thriving ecosystems along the way. Eventually, they expect it to enter the Atlantic Ocean, where warmer waters will break it up. We have more news for you still coming up, but first, a quick break for our sponsor. Want to give the gift your family or friend will be talking about all year long? A trade subscription is not just coffee. It is an experience that keeps on giving. Every month, your gift recipient will get a new freshly roasted coffee perfectly matched to their taste from one of the top small batch roasters in the U.S. I've enjoyed coffee from Sterling Coffee Roasters, Bird Rock Coffee Roasters, Dune Coffee Roasters, and more. It's like getting your loved one a tour of the country's best coffee shops without leaving home. I can tell you from my experience that it is such a fun process to receive the coffee in the mail each month, and the coffee itself is super fresh and high quality. I personally love trying all different kinds. So are you ready to cross that last gift off your list? Trade is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions right now. So head to drinktrade.com/newsworthy to send a personalized coffee subscription in minutes. Again, go to drinktrade.com/newsworthy while Trade is offering their best savings of the year on gift subscriptions. Now back to the news. The next time you're in the backseat of a new car, you'll have an extra reason to buckle up. A new rule from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says new cars will soon have to include seatbelt warning notifications, not just for the driver and front seat passenger, but for passengers sitting in the back seat too. Specifically, any car manufactured after September 1st, 2027 will have to sound an automatic warning when a backseat passenger doesn't strap in. The NHTSA says even though people have been wearing seatbelts more and more over the years, backseat passengers wear theirs at lower rates than front seat passengers. So the agency expects the rule to save dozens of lives and prevent hundreds of injuries every year. For the first time in more than a decade, obesity rates have dropped in the United States. That's according to a new study the American Medical Association recently published. Researchers think one major reason for the drop is the rise of weight loss drugs like Ozempic. The decline is pretty small overall. The obesity rate for adults aged 26 to 75 used to be 46%. Now it's 45.6%. But as researchers point out, it still means hundreds of thousands of people who used to be obese aren't anymore. The biggest decrease in obesity rates came in the South, especially among women and people aged 66 to 75. And the South is where weight loss drugs have been prescribed the most on a per-person basis. Of course, other factors could have something to do with this shift as well, like the effects of the pandemic. Either way, America's overall obesity rate is still one of the highest in the world. And researchers say they need to keep watching obesity stats over the next couple of years to know if this is truly a trend or just a blip. A major Japanese tech investment firm has promised $100 billion to support American projects over the next 4 years. SoftBank's CEO announced the investment after meeting with President-elect Donald Trump at his Mar-a-Lago home. The CEO said the money will create 100,000 jobs, mostly focused on artificial intelligence, though he didn't share details of exactly what the projects would be. And SoftBank doesn't have $100 billion on hand. The Wall Street Journal says it has around $30 billion. So reports say the company is expected to raise money with partners and fund projects through companies it controls. If this all sounds familiar, this could be why. When Trump won in 2016, the same firm promised $50 billion to create 50,000 jobs. And those investments went on to fund companies like Uber and DoorDash. Investigators in the U.S. Senate say Amazon's obsession with speed and productivity has created uniquely dangerous workplaces. A Senate committee released a report this week about the online retailer's warehouses. It found over the last 7 years, Amazon workers were nearly twice as likely to get hurt than people who worked at other warehouses in the industry. It also says the company routinely ignored safety concerns and even manipulated worker injury data. Apparently, 2 internal reports from Amazon itself even linked warehouse worker speed with injuries. But Amazon disputed the Senate's findings, saying in a statement that much of the report is based on selective, outdated information, and that actually the company has made significant safety improvements over the years. Either way, the report comes as Amazon workers get ready for a potential strike. At least 4 Amazon facilities, 2 in New York City, 1 in Georgia, and 1 in Illinois, have authorized strikes. The union representing the workers had given Amazon a Sunday deadline to negotiate a contract, but the deadline passed without a deal. At this point, it's unclear if the workers will actually go on strike, though if they do, it's expected to cause disruptions to Amazon's business during the busy holiday season. Some classic works of literature and a couple of popular cartoon characters could show up in more places soon, even places their original creators would never have dreamed of. Books by Nobel Prize winners Ernest Hemingway, John Steinbeck, and William Faulkner, along with Popeye and Tintin, are entering the public domain starting next month. And that means anyone can use or repurpose the work without having to ask permission or pay a fee. It's just like what happened with Mickey Mouse, who famously entered the public domain at the start of this year, or Winnie the Pooh, who made the move last year. Also, just like Mickey and Pooh Bear, there's already talk of a horror movie centered around Popeye. Reports say there will be a Popeye the Sailor movie coming out next year. In case you're not familiar, the cartoon version of Popeye is the sailor known for eating spinach and fighting. Then there's Tintin, a boy detective joined by his trusty dog Snowy. A movie was already made about Tintin back in 2011 since Steven Spielberg was such a fan and actually bought the rights. Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms, Steinbeck's Cup of Gold, and Faulkner's masterpiece The Sound and the Fury are also about to be free to use, along with other books, plays, movies, drawings, paintings, and photographs from 1929. Well, that's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Trivia Tuesday, when we ask a different trivia question every week. But first, a quick break. Along with the holiday cheer, this time of year often comes with more sicknesses than usual, especially if you're a parent of young kids. And it's just not that fun to deal with. So make it a little easier on yourself to find the doctor you need when you need them with a healthcare app that can filter doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, and are the right fit for whatever it is you need. Zocdoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors, choose the right one for your needs, and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about in-network appointments with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more. Plus, Zocdoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. I check Zocdoc anytime I'm looking for a new doctor to support my most valuable asset, my health and my family's health. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to Zocdoc.com/newsworthy to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/newsworthy. Zocdoc.com/newsworthy. Now back to Trivia Tuesday. Today's trivia question is, how much did the dog who played Toto earn for The Wizard of Oz? As for last week's trivia question, the inventor of what toy was originally trying to create a new treatment for broken bones? The answer is silly string. Yep, the same silly string that's known as the party in a can. Its investors originally thought they could revolutionize making casts for broken bones. They wanted to make a spray-on cast that could go on a patient in seconds. After experimenting with around 500 different nozzles to apply their instant casts, they found one that shot it as strings 30 feet across the room. They quickly realized the potential their invention had as a toy. So they pivoted and started demonstrating the spraying string to toy makers. After one company's owners saw the remnants of a demonstration, they asked for a bigger market test, which obviously was a success. The rest is silly string history. Well, thank you so much for joining us to get caught up on the news today. We'll be back tomorrow with the latest news to know. Until then, have a great day.